Awards. They're very important. And that is why Cord Killers is proud today to present the first annual Killy Awards.
That's right, Tom. Ever since Grog, the cavemen, once presented a rock to Flora, we truly understood that sad songs are nature's onions, is a line I stole from Mr. Show.
Yeah, man, there is nothing stiffer than an award show speech. And we're trying our best to get there. But for this final episode of Cord Killers / Spoiler in Time, and thank you to our patrons for being so awesome all year long. We're doing a bonus holiday episode because we're all going to be traveling around and doing all kinds of crazy things during the holidays. And we're going to share with you the things that we enjoyed the most that came out in 2016. Movies, TV shows. Bryce went through and figured out where you can find all this stuff too, so we'll have that in the show notes. And we're just going to go round robin and present the Killies. Brian?
I like the idea of preventing killings as well. But the Killies
the killings
is what they're called.
By presenting the Killies.
All right, can I go with, I'm going to go straight up. The way I wrote mine is I went through the IMDb release of the top 150 movies, and I picked 5 of the movies that I liked a whole lot. Had a big surprise in there, but I also thought of like not movie things that I absolutely loved. And I think the not movie thing that I am the most excited about to this very day, like I am frothing at the mouth for it to return, I'm going to give my television killie to Preacher.
Wow.
Preacher was fantastic. It was alleged to be the untellable story on television. I've never read the comic, or I read the first issue of the comic, and that's it. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. It was gory. It was horrific. And normally my wife is really turned off by over-the-top blood and guts. I could not get her to watch 30 seconds of Ash vs. Evil Dead. She loved and watched all of Preacher and couldn't get enough of it, complete with its gut-punching twists at the end. The fact that it's able to inoculate against what will be a cheesy or over-the-top twist of fate from the opening frames of this show, by aping the structure and the aesthetics of 1950s schlock sci-fi, it set your brain in a place that allowed you to accept the idea that somebody could steal the power from God and 2 bureaucratic angels could come down and do a bumbling job of trying to get it back, and that somebody could get sent to hell at the slip of a tongue. It was wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Can't say enough good things about it. I think Preacher might be my favorite non-movie thing of 2016.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I'm also going to explain how I did my list, but let's let Bryce go with his first selection.
Sure.
First.
In a similar vein, I guess, I kind of ordered my list. My favorite non-movie thing of this year is a channel. It's a YouTube channel, and it's not one that we make, but it's youtube.com/Polygon. The original content that they are doing for a gaming site in Monster Factory and in Carboys is so addictive and just funny. It's just pure comedy. It is they are ostensibly let's plays. Like if you look at them on paper, they are let's plays, but with the personalities that they've got attached to that site, who have been doing comedy and podcasting for so long, they bring such wit and just really fun. Mikey Newman actually stated it best, that Monster Factory on its worst day is better than Napoleon Dynamite on its best, because Napoleon Dynamite is equally very quotable and funny and kind of aesthetically setting for a decade or so of adolescence, right? These are both really great shows, and for Cord Killers, they're perfect because they're on YouTube and they're free. So that's youtube.com/Polygon, specifically Monster Factory and Carboys.
All right. For my list, what I did is I went back through all of our Cord Killers notes about what we talked about we were watching through the entire year. And I said, did I anticipate and enjoy watching this television show, or did I think about this movie a lot afterwards and maybe want to see it again? If I felt that way, I put it on a long list. And then I went through and I ordered that list by the things I was most excited to watch every week, or the thing that I just kept raving about and thinking about later, and maybe bought the soundtrack or looked up clips or bought the DVD or not the DVD, but the digital movie. And I'll stick with the not movie theme that we've got going here. Number one on my list at the very top was The Expanse on Sci-Fi, but you can also buy it on iTunes and Vudu and all those places, and I recommend you do it. It is worth it. It's coming back in February. It is an amazingly great crew. And it gets compared to Firefly sometimes, but it's not a Firefly story. It's that Firefly dynamic of the crew. And yet it's also this amazing world that has been built that is believable. They're honest about ships. You can't just hop from one solar system to the next. It takes a long time to move from place to place. Huge fan of the books. And I think they executed the show very well in that they follow the books where it's good and they depart from the books where it works better on TV to do so. So The Expanse, my number one.
And I think we had this discussion on the air, but much to your chagrin and consternation, after enjoying The Expanse and really getting into it, I went to go read the book, and I actually stopped a third into it because I'm like, this is just the TV show. You know what? I think I'm just going to watch the TV show. And and that is not in any way a diss on the book. The book is fantastic, but the TV show was also fantastic.
They do depart very significantly in parts, but I don't think you ever got to any of those parts. And honestly, if you're enjoying the TV show and you didn't enjoy the book, you don't need to read the book to enjoy the TV show.
I guess my opinion is the book will always be there. But the TV show may not always be this good, and may not, at some point they just might not get another season or whatever. So it's like I'm really enjoying. In fact, I may go back and rewatch all of The Expanse in anticipation of the new season. I'm really excited about it.
All right, what's your next one, Brian?
This one's a movie, and there's a theme. Can I throw two movies at you guys? Is that okay? Because they're linked by a theme.
This is unprecedented in the
I know. In the history of the Achilles, we've never done this. Actually, you know what? I won't, because then I realized I'd have to explain why they're linked.
Okay.
I'm going to have to watch it again, but I think Moana might have been the best movie of the year.
Oh, man. I was so close to having it on my list. I actually had it on my list, and then I swapped it out for something else, and I'll explain why later. But yes, Moana is a fantastic movie. 100% agree.
Yeah, it is the best. We talk about the Disney machine, how it's a relentless grinder that will take a story from one person and say, hey, thanks for the story. Here's your check. Don't worry, we'll put your name on it. Now we're going to change a billion things about it because we're going to force ourselves to put it in front of a bunch of different people, and we're going to watch and see how people actually react, and we're going to make sure every single scene and every single thing is as good as it can possibly be with what we're given. And Moana is the best of what you get with that relentless process. Every single moment of that is gold. It takes so many of the tropes, so many of even the inside Disney stuff, and turns it on its ear. It's a wonderful story in a refreshingly new narrative. Despite, yes, there are cultural things it does that are new and novel. But mainly, it was so awesome to get to encounter a real mythology that I was unfamiliar with and told in an exquisite way that took me along for the ride. Here I am, a 41-year-old man who embodied the spirit of a 14-year-old Polynesian girl. It was amazing.
That's awesome. All right, Bryce, what's your next one?
My next one is a TV show. It is my favorite TV show of the year, and I think it went under the radar a lot. We didn't even really talk about it very much on Cord Killers, but it is
NCIS. No? Oh, no.
Good one. Got canceled. Right. I'm sorry.
It's Insecure on HBO. I think Insecure is so fantastic. It is about a woman named Issa who is working in a community outreach organization trying to reach out to inner city LA children, and her working through being the only black person who is working in an office of that is trying to outreach to urban youth, and her friend who is a high power lawyer in a very white a predominantly white law office, and not just their interactions and not just their romantic encounters, but also those cultural experiences come across really great. It's on HBO. And it's so funny, and the drama that's there, it's in perfect proportion. That it's I don't love a lot of romance, and I think it's just the right amount in a show. So definitely check out Insecure if you have the time.
I mean, do you think Issa should have got with that other guy though? Like, was
They
he
were
right?
on a
Is he right to
break.
dump her?
They were on a break though.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
When you're on a break, the rules are relaxed, I think. That's me.
Eileen watches the show, and I've picked up a couple episodes subliminally, and I know enough to ask that question. That is how much it draws me in when she's got it on. Like, it's really well done.
It's so good.
Yeah. I'm going to skip down to my number 2 movie of the year. And I only have 3 movies on this list because this explains why Moana isn't on my list. Moana was at number 10 on my list. And then I looked at La La Land, which was not on the list. And I decided, you know what? As much as I enjoyed Moana, and I agree with everything Brian said about it, I didn't really go around singing the songs after that night. But La La Land, which is, and again, this may be because I live in Los Angeles and I know a lot of people like this. And I like that old fashioned style of musical where people actually talk between the songs, unlike Wicked or any of the modern musicals. And this is that. I'm still singing songs from this. I've got it on my playlist. I cannot get it out of my head. The aesthetic and the style of it are just wonderful. It is a note perfect modern musical. And I don't want to spoil it, but it is not the cliche ending either. And they pulled it off making sense. And I adore this movie. And it just had to take the music spot for me. And it's not a genre movie either.
Well, and this is remarkable because you sound much more excited about it now than you did after you watch it. You seemed a little tempered before where you're like, oh, if you like music, I guess you'll like this one or whatever. But this is a different side of Tom.
My appreciation for it grows over time. And that is why I changed my mind, because I didn't have it in the top 10 because I was still feeling that like, oh, well, it's a musical and it was fun and it was nice. And then I looked at it and I was like, no, my standard that I'm holding myself to is how long did it stay with you if it was a movie? And this movie still stayed with me. Wow. So yeah.
Well, and by the way, that is completely consistent with all the buzz I've seen on Twitter. In fact, just today, I think I saw C.S. Kilpatrick, formerly of iFanboy, just out of nowhere posting an animated GIF from it. Like, holy cow, this movie, guys! Like, I hear amazing things about it.
Yeah. What do you got, Brian?
All right, so all right, back on movies. Okay,
Brian on movies.
Doesn't hurt that one of my best buds wrote it. Doctor Strange was great. It was great. It was same story as Moana. Wait, hold on. By which I mean, it's great because it shows the Disney machine at its best, right? When by going through the ringer, you end up with a full thing that you get the breaks at all the right moments, you laugh at all the right moments, you love all the right characters for the right amount and stuff. Pretty much the same movie. Can we agree?
Also, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch would have made a lovely Moana if this were live action.
Yeah, Doctor Strange was great. It was a great mix of comedy that landed and action and telling a training story, a story of becoming, the ultimate whatever. Wizard.
I mean, yeah. Batman Begins in the Marvel Universe is what you could write it off as, but I think it's so much more than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I walked out with no regrets. I walked out going, yeah, I enjoyed every second of that movie. I agree with you there. So Bryce, what do you have next?
Okay, I recommended this show very highly on Cord Killers in the past, on the Lookout segment, and it's kind of got a little bit of buzz going again for it now, and I think it's a good time to jump in because supposedly we're going to get some more episodes in the next month or so. Who knows? And it is the Netflix original Japanese reality show Terrace House. It is a hold on.
No, I'm only smiling because I actually watched an episode.
Oh, that's wonderful.
What did
Yeah.
you think, Tom?
We watched it after we watched it. Wait, did we watch it after? No, we watched it before we went to Japan.
Okay.
And it definitely helped me prepare a little bit for like, okay, this is a little bit of what the culture is in.
Yeah, it's kind of set up like a Japanese version of Real World, where you have six strangers basically living in a house, three guys and three girls, and the idea is kind of like that people on the show are trying to find romantic partners and are trying to date, but also they have their own personal goals that they want to achieve through being on this show. And what you find different as a Japanese reality show compared to an American one is that you are not it's not conflict, it's not big on fighting, and it's not big on arguments and conflicts. It's very subtle and it's very slight. And part of it is because that show is very immediate. In Japan, they see that show sometimes only a couple of weeks after it's recorded, and it's fantastic. There are so many lovable characters, and I don't even want to spoil who they are because the cast of that show fleshes in and out as people either do or don't succeed the goal that they want or their romantic aspirations. I think it's really great. Like I mentioned, I've been seeing a lot of people discovering it, and Netflix has said that they will bring it internationally to international audiences sometime in January of this year. So you have time to get into it and fall in love with Terrace House on Netflix.
All right, I'm going to keep it in the TV mode. And this is definitely a show where we have lots of analysis on Cord Killers this year about various issues with season 2. But Mr. Robot still just sticks in my head. Man. I think about it from time to time and pull examples from it, including from season 2. And I always watched that show as soon as it came out. I was on top of that show. And it was the show I was most excited to watch every week this year, short of The Expanse. But The Expanse, I actually purchased on iTunes because I didn't get Sci-Fi at the time when it came out, and so I watched like 4 of them at once, and then it was always waiting till the next day. Whereas Mr. Robot, I was there like, let's watch it right now.
I was thinking about Mr. Robot this new season when we were making these lists, and I know I was probably pretty sideways on it, but I think I think if I went back and rewatched season 2, I would like it, and I think I would hold it to a similar, maybe almost the level of season 1. I think it's still exceptional.
And you know what's funny is while we were experiencing it, I think I was a little bit frustrated by the volume of vectors that we were presented and my inability to know which of these are important and which are not. Now that I've digested the entire second season, I remember it as one continuous sensible thread. However, looking back on it, I bet there's a number of moments I'm like, well, this is only tangentially related, and this seems like an excuse just to have a vignette with this guy or whatever. But there are standout moments like that TBS throwback episode when they reveal the reason you're experiencing this bizarre, twisted 25-minute side journey into nostalgia is delightfully dark and impactful. Like, I think back to those moments and despite their trappings, experience no joy. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah. And like on my long list was The Flash, which you'll hear me always say, like, really love The Flash, always enjoy watching it. But the reason it's lower on my list is I can watch it 2 days later, like
you don't need to see The Flash.
Yeah, I can even let a couple of them build up. Mr. Robot, I was always like, and all the shows on this list, I was always like, I need to find out what happens next. I love this aesthetic, I love this world, and I still think they do the best job with technology of any show we've seen.
Yeah, Brian, what do you got?
So I'm gonna jump away from movies for a little bit.
Okay.
And in many ways, go right back to movies. Because one thing we didn't discuss, I think without ever making a big thing of it and without us discussing it, I very quietly, despite, spoiler in time notwithstanding, despite going to the movies with my kid notwithstanding, I think the number one way I consume video nowadays is on YouTube. Yeah. And a lot of it is in, little snippets. And some of it is, quasi-narrative or sketch-based. But I think my favorite thing on YouTube that I've discovered this year If there's a category for YouTube, I'm going to give it to falling in love with what Mikey Newman is doing with Movies with Mikey. It is extraordinary. It's truly extraordinary. And there's that great Verge article talking about how it will never be the most popular movie review podcast because it's relentlessly positive and it finds the good in everything. Yeah. And that's just not what is easy to share and viral, because of course you can share with the world your snark, your hate, your anger, because you know that that'll relate. And if they don't relate, well, then they'll bounce outside your impenetrable shell of snark. Whereas Movies with Mikey is about doing the hard thing, about opening yourself up to what does this have to say? What could this be? What good is there in there for us? And it's absolutely wonderful. I wholeheartedly want to say it's my favorite thing that I've encountered on YouTube this year.
And for essentially an essay series on movies, they're incredibly well produced. They're incredibly tight, and they're funny. They are really engaging.
And that's the difficult part when you're trying to be positive, is the easy jokes are the negative jokes.
Yep.
His Dark Knight one that came out this last week or so was stunning. Like the appreciation that he has for that movie, and the way, it's one thing to say this is my favorite movie of all time, or this is the best movie of all time, but for him, the way that he frames it in Movies with Mikey is really superb. It's so superb.
I would give as an exemplar both his Serenity review and his The Force Awakens review. His Force Awakens review was transcendent. It was the best Force Awakens review I've read anywhere.
Wow.
All right, Bryce, what do you got next on your list?
In the TV category, subcategory Firefly status, I have to pour one out for Fox's The Grinder. This is a show that went unloved in 2015 and in 2016, and it is so good. It has got I don't even know the name. I know the faces of the guys. This is not a great review for it. The idea is that it is a single camera sitcom about a actor who plays a lawyer on one of these drama, sexy drama shows.
Was this a Rob Lowe thing?
It's Rob Lowe. And God, I don't remember the other guy.
There's an action. His brother is the actual lawyer, but he has to play a lawyer and fake it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so he is learning to be a lawyer, and so he's their intern, but he's also a famous TV star, and so that helps.
It's Fred Savage.
Fred Savage, that's it.
Yes, thank you, Dark Redeemer.
Yeah, and it's got the waitress from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's like and it's what's great about it is that it's kind of like Arrested Development style of humor, where it's tight, and when it's self-referential, it is in just the right amount, and it is smart and fast without.
It sounds like it's relentless. Like it doesn't care if you get it or not. It's already moved on. Yeah,
exactly, and. Each episode, the arc is good, and there is actually a really good long arc over the second half of the season. It's great, and it got canceled, but I think it ends in a good way that leaves it as an all right thing on itself. But it's a shame that it got canceled, because The Grinder is really an amazing comedy that we all didn't get a chance to see.
All right. I'll stick with TV land and go with my third TV show, The Crown. Part of this is because I do... And what?
Well, I mean, I know you're an Anglophile, but wow. I mean, top 10 for the year, huh?
I also, I love the English dramas. I am fascinated with the English monarchy, and I studied it in school. So I think what draws me in here is that it's not just here's the drama behind the royals, right? This isn't about the sex scandals, etc. Although they go into Princess Margaret's issues, which, seem very innocent in the light of the modern day, but at the time were absolutely scandalous. But they also bring the weight of history. They cite the English Constitution by Bagehot. They bring Churchill to life in a way that is realistic, and they deal with the unique weirdness of the constitutional monarchy in a land with an unwritten constitution, and what that means when essentially a teenager takes over as that monarch and has to fill this strangely defined role. It's just masterful. And if you're interested in history, I 100% recommend it. If you're not that interested in history, but you just want to see something that is done with art and detail and respect for the subject, I also recommend it.
Man, that's fantastic. Tom or Bri.
Yeah, let me pivot and do an exact opposite of what I just said, because my last pick was movies with Mikey.
Sure.
Sticking to YouTube.
TV with Tom.
My other pick is Red Letter Media, which in many ways represents the exact opposite of what Movies with Mikey aspires to do.
Sure.
But it has been so much fun to watch those guys come into their own, from moving to, I don't want to call it a gimmicky thing, because the Phantom Menace review was transcended. The Plinkett review was amazing for what it was, this visceral deconstruction of everything wrong with that movie. But they've managed to pivot with Half in the Bag and other reviews to do kind of over the top with a wink and a nod, cheesy acting combined with thoughtful discussions about movies. You know, in many ways, what they're doing is something that I think that I personally aspire to, that level of insight when we do our Spoiler in Time podcast. It's very, very good, and to watch them transition to a long form content like that is good, and I hope it continues to work for them.
Yeah. Has there been anything from them since I know the Force Awakens review was really big. I don't know how much.
Do you know what? They're kind of in that same category, or I assume, I might be making this up, but they're a little bit like Scam School is, in that, you know, Scam School's got 1.7 million followers or subscribers, and people are like, whatever happened to Scam School? It's like, well, we've been quietly never missing a Wednesday for 8 years. That's what's going on.
Because I get the feeling that they have a lot of original content.
Yeah, so like right now I'm looking at them. They're at 481,000 subscribers, and like a Half in the Bag episode, they did one on Rogue One 9 hours ago. It's already at 112,000 views. But their duration, I mean, these are long form pieces. Let me see. It looks like it's 40 minutes long on YouTube. Breaking a lot of the rules for what works for viral content, and it seems to be working for them. So I'm happy.
Great.
All right, Bryce, what's next for you?
I have got. All right, I have a lot of TV on my list. I have a lot of TV on my list because I don't see a lot of movies, but I have a Hulu original that I think is another thing that kind of went under the radar a bit, though we did talk about it on Cord Killers, and that is Hulu's The Path. That's got Aaron
Brockovich
from Breaking Bad.
Bra.
Aaron, no. Paul.
Oh yeah.
Paul
This is the cult one, right?
Yes. So it's about living in a cult and like having a family that lives in a cult and follows a cult, but not just that, but also what do you do when doubt is injected into you, when you no longer necessarily believe all of the teachings of the cult that you live and work in. You know, what do you do when you are surrounded by people who would be violent if you told them that you had any doubt? Between Aaron Paul's character having doubts and raising two children who have their own questions about the sect. Not to mention, there's a lot of politics within the cult and within the displaced and sick cult leader. Like what happens then? I think it's really fantastic, and that also got picked up for another season. Do check out the cult or the path on Hulu.
All right, it is now back to me.
Yeah.
And I'll go with my number one movie. Remember, I mentioned La La Land was my number two. My number one movie is Zootopia.
Totally deserving.
On my list.
Totally
and I gotta tell you, part of me just wants to think Zootopia was last year. Maybe Moana's just a little shinier right now to me than Zootopia. But I thought the two were just stunning and amazing.
And different ways.
Yeah.
Zootopia is telling a parable and is telling a straight ahead story. It's not a musical. but it just hits so many issues with such care, and yet is a cartoon. And so it didn't lose its fun in dealing with those issues, and it didn't hit you over the head with them and make you feel bad for not knowing about this issue. And yet it was still a fun romp through a land that is run by animals.
Well, and plus,
and balancing all of those things together seems impossible in retrospect.
Yeah, for what it looked like it was going to be on the surface, they did some astonishingly good world building. Like, I keep thinking about all the little details of the logistics of how Zootopia would work, even though it's ridiculous. But it's like it's a real place in my mind, and I want to go back there.
And that is absolutely why it's on this list. Is I kept thinking about the land, and I want to go visit. When are we going to visit, Brian?
We talked when it came out that it is excellence in storytelling, and it really is. Like, it is a impeccably crafted 3-act structure. It's fantastic.
All right, so Zootopia on your list as well, Brian. What else you got next?
Okay, well, real quick, people are saying my Scientology movie, which I almost put on my list, and then I realized it's not out yet.
Whoops,
and I accidentally pirated it, and which we talked about on the show. I just clicked on a link, and suddenly I watched it. I thought that was great, and then I found out that was an illegal leak after the fact. Okay, another movie. Fantastic. Go see it. I kind of even don't want to talk about why it's great because there's a chance you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And even me talking about it would affect your experience with it. Just go see 10 Cloverfield Lane. Directorial, big budget or medium budget debut of our friend Dan Trachtenberg. Later led to, or I assume led to his work on Black Mirror. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah. There's some things that I see and I'm like, I got to see that again because I really liked it. But with 10 Cloverfield Lane, it was like once was enough almost.
It was so good
so
that you're like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah. It's
I don't want to live through that.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Right. It's fantastic from the sound design to handling what is basically a bottle movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, essentially like a 1-act play almost, right? Like,
Yeah.
All right, Bryce, what about you?
Oh boy, now it's getting tough.
I think we can start mentioning multiples now if you want to start speeding through a little bit.
Okay, well, maybe I'll just go through this quick because I don't know that I ended up watching all of this, but very quickly, and I don't know how much I digested of it. But Atlanta on FX is fantastic. It's a really nebulous show. If you look at that season, it's very nebulous. There's not a lot of connective tissue between the episodes, and they're all telling different stories, and they're telling them really, really well. Following Donald Glover's character, who goes on to become the manager of his viral hit star cousin, rapper, Paperboy. All about that Paperboy. It's great. It's really great. Did you? I know you were watching it for a minute, Brian. Did you finish the season?
You know what's funny is I've loved every single episode I've watched, and yet for some reason it's just it's because they're self-contained, because they are wonderful little meditations on different things. I don't feel the hunger to watch the next one afterwards, and so I actually bought the whole first season. I have half of them waiting in my Amazon box, so maybe that'll be my go-to thing.
I think you were on episode 6. I might have messed up your Amazon order.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's funny. You're logged in.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. Tom,
all right.
Yeah.
Next on my list is Black Mirror.
So
it was the thing that we had to watch, even though we were on crappy hotel Wi-Fi, and it was late after a long day, and we were traveling, and we were still like sucking down episodes of Black Mirror. It's that good and that varied, and yeah, as we've talked on the show, certain episodes are better than others and have different aspects to it, but overall, it was the kind of thing where I needed to watch it as fast as possible because I wanted it in my eyeballs.
What? Yeah. Was it unfair of me to, because I thought about putting that on my list, but I dinged it for the episodes that I didn't like, which maybe that was a bit unfair.
Well, with so few episodes.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, even the ones I didn't care for, or the ones I thought, weren't nearly as good as the others, it got a little spotty near the end of the eight episode run.
Yeah. And this third season is definitely a different tone than the first two.
Yes.
But,
but I'll tell you what, man, those first three I loved. Love.
I think fantastic.
All right, Brian, next for you.
I'm going to go
It's tough. It's getting tough.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Actually, this one's not tough because oh man, I can't believe I'm saying this. This is gonna be controversial.
Oh, I'm seeing what you're having to decide between.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at this. I think of what's left on my list. Narcos is phenomenal. Narcos season 1 and season 2. Narcos season 1 details the real life ascension of Pablo Escobar with real CNN footage, real behind the scenes documentary footage, real Pablo Escobar cut with fictional Pablo Escobar. It's horrifying. It's a ghost story of the ascension of a madman. And then the second season is equally good in exactly the opposite direction. You see him at the top of his game, and that spoiler alert, they kill him at the end.
Pablo Escobar is dead?
Yes.
What?
Yeah,
What?
now you know.
Oh, why'd you spoil that?
Specifically,
I don't read news.
it was goosebump inducing chilling to see the fictional killing of this guy smash cut to the actual FBI photo of the smiling agent standing over the trophy of a corpse of a man who we just watched this whole thing. It's phenomenal. It's amazing.
That's great. And, you know, I don't know that I even finished season 1 of Narcos, but not because it's a bad show. It's a fantastic show. Me and my dad got into it, got hooked on it last year. It really is a great like action drama.
It's also fun. You get, and I think we've talked about this before. I suspect that movies that are in a foreign language get an unfair bump in your perception of the quality of acting that you're seeing.
Yes.
Because you're much like reading the book is an unfair way to compare to a television show because you're writing the story in your mind. In your mind, you're just assuming everything you're hearing is perfectly spoken and totally believable and not taking you out of the moment.
Yeah.
Bryce?
I have a pick. It didn't start in 2016. It is a TV show, but I think it's resilience. I think that's why I've still got it. Is its resilience? Is Last Man on Earth on Fox? The Last Man on Earth is a sitcom. It is Everybody Loves Raymond in the post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
And that the fact that they continue to figure out new ways to have conflicts that have that fit inside of this paradigm of being, the apocalypse, basically, and merge them with very standard, comedy sitcom tropes of just like, I want to get married, but I want to get down with you, but we got to get married first. Like, it's a really interesting mixture of traditional tropes and unconventional tropes. And it's fantastic. The show, you kind of see a lot of things that lead you to think, oh, well, it's easier for them to shoot it this way, and that's why this is like this. But especially the first season has a lot of last second just twists at the end of the episode. The first season has a big twist and a guest star in the last 5 seconds of the last episode of the first season. Like, yep. It has impeccable courage to set big targets and to pull them off. And it's no wonder. It's from Lord and Miller of the Lego movie, and what is the other thing that they did?
Han Solo.
They're doing Han Solo?
Yeah.
Wow. And it's stunning. It's really stunning. And in the third season, where they've changed locations multiple times and they've brought in new people and they've changed things up a lot, they're still finding ways to make it interesting. I think
every time I think I'm going to stop watching this and never watching it again if it was the last show on Earth, boom, still got it, I get drawn back in. There's always something that draws me back in.
Yeah. They just had their mid-season finale, and there's a really big cliffhanger.
I haven't watched it yet, so I can't. I
won't say anything.
All right. I'm going to throw Game of Thrones on here because.
Thank you, because it's one of those like of course it belongs, but it so obviously belongs that all of us didn't bother to put it on, except for you.
And it's because like when I was thinking about this, like I said, what are the shows where I sit down and I watch it when it's there? I mean, this is a show that is not even airing for me. It's all coming to HBO now, and I will be sitting there refreshing the app. Like, when are you going to show up in the carousel? Okay, let's go. Mm-hmm. And then I'll also throw in, because I think we all agree, and I don't know that needs to be explained, Stranger Things is another one.
Can I tell you, I felt real darkness, or I felt real shame when I gave Narcos the heads over Stranger Things. But I mean, Stranger Things is great. Million Reasons great. I think Narcos might be better than Stranger Things, but only so barely. Wow. And Stranger Things is a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Stranger Things was another one where actually it's different because I started watching it because I'd heard, oh, this is supposed to be good, and then really wanted to keep watching it. And it was with these binge shows on Netflix, it's always like, how much time do you have? When you're thinking like, how many episodes can I watch before I have to go back to doing other things? Then that means it has to be considered for this list for me.
Yeah.
Brian.
All right, so we are in the final trenches right now. I'm going to hold off.
It's tough.
Next to last. Oh, no, this is not tough at all.
Okay.
Documentary Now was one of the most fun things to discover in 2016 for me. It's delightful. It's on Netflix. Every episode is a journey and a treat. It's extraordinary if you're not familiar with it. Each episode apes a different type of documentary. In many cases, they are aping a specific documentary with a different twist on it. Very, very funny. Their take on Nanook of the North was hilarious.
I like the one episode I've seen, but it's like Narcos, or I'm sorry, what was the one that you had said, Atlanta, where I liked it and then
felt no need to go on.
Right.
I have forgotten to go back and watch another one, but I need to do that.
That first episode about Grey Gardens, if you've seen Grey Gardens, like, you know it is note perfect.
Except for the whole plot of it, like the whole horror angle that they injected in. Sorry. I mean, they're pretty upfront on that.
Bryce, what do you got next?
What do I got next? Okay. I am going off book because I was just reminded about this from our chat room. But guys, Better Call Saul, season 2.
Yeah, that's you've done a noble thing by throwing that on the list, because that one also is like, of course we're going to watch it. Of course it's a must-watch.
It's tough that premiered in February, so the early year stuff like 10 Cloverfield Lane is easy to forget. Better Call Saul is fantastic. And season 2 picked up. With the same expectation that season 1 had, was like, how are you going to make a spinoff of Breaking Bad and make it be good? And then it was. And then how do you follow all of that? It's really fantastic. Though I am having trouble remembering some of the plot points.
Oh, dude, you remember how it ends? I mean, basically, it's the story of his brother becoming a villain and this rivalry between the two. By the end of the second season, I realized I don't care if we ever get caught up with Breaking Bad. To me, this is another story about two warring brothers, and I could watch that for 5 more seasons.
And they're approaching law in very different ways.
Yeah.
And that's the genius of what they've done, is they've separated you from Breaking Bad. You forget that you're watching this because of Breaking Bad.
And Nuke Jello reminds me, one of the episodes has an incredibly impressive single take introduction. And you can kind of tell where they've probably cut
massage
it together.
stuff. Which can you speak in code?
There's a truck. We're following a truck.
Oh yes. Oh, that was great. That was great.
It's long, and it's a technical impressive feat.
Well, and plus it's not novelty for its own sake. Like, that is directly important to the narrative of the story. If you miss that, you are not going to understand the significance of what happens afterwards.
Yeah. Tom, what do you got?
I got Downton Abbey. Sentimental goodbye. I love the show. I wanted it to go on forever. I wanted to live in Downton Abbey. It makes me drink brandy and make tea when I watch it. And the characters are so diverse and so interesting. And I think it improves quite a bit on the stereotypical, which would be upstairs, downstairs, of this great mansion type story of the English aristocracy. And again, as I mentioned, I'm fascinated with English history, and I'm especially fascinated with that fall of the noble houses that happened in the 20th century. And this tells that story. And it doesn't finish it, but it leaves it still standing and says, we will now say our goodbyes, as we know World War II is about to happen, and we're not going to tell that part of the story. So I highly recommend this one if you just want a good drama, like a good historical drama. I don't think I can't say that one has been done better.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to take, I don't know, this is 2 sides of a coin. One barely made the list.
This is our final round, by the way, so here you go.
Oh, shoot.
One barely made the list, and one is a Killy Razzie, I guess. Ash versus Evil Dead was a lot of fun. That was a curious thing to keep seeing it on the top 10 list of best television shows. And I was like, Ash was really? And they're doing it just like the movie? They did, and if you don't like the movie, you're not going to like the show. But for what it is, it's fun and it's silly and it's gross and it's it's great to have something that I can watch that Bonnie has no interest in watching. On the flip side, Bonnie and I love watching The Prophet together. Maybe I should make that past tense. This year,
this is your
I'm only 3-4 episodes in, but it's just like I sent a screen pic to Bryce of the horrible job of green screening. He's got this green halo around him. At one point, he's moving his hand, and it's like
you see the blur. You see it in the blur, like if you're watching the video.
It feels more forced.
This current season is definitely a little more formulaic than the past, I think.
And the stakes seem smaller, and
you see a lot of the same companies come up and like, oh, this will synergize with this other thing that was on the show.
At some point it started. Here's the big crime: is at some point it all started to feel like an ad for the businesses he had done before, and I just got a touch of grossness, which I had never experienced on this show before.
Shark Tank has that same problem.
Yeah,
of like, they're essentially pitching these companies, and then, if they get them or not, they were just on TV. You just watch, 4 minutes about what they do and if you like it or not. So,
yeah. We'll probably still keep plowing through it, but it's starting to feel like,
All right. Last one. Oh, this is tough. I did not think we were being strict at 10, and so I have a lot of picks on this list.
Well, it was 5 to 10.
5 to 10, yeah. And I was like, I'll just.
Were your instructions to us?
I know.
Oh wait, I just realized you have The Prophet on your list of best picks.
That's why I thought you wrote "Boo the Prophet," which is why I thought you did that in response to me potentially picking The Prophet.
Oh no! That was like it was noteworthy to me that is the show that I've dropped off the harshest in 2016.
Yeah, well, that show's a weird release schedule too. That's my last pick. Oh, this is tough. My last pick is going to be. It's going to be Empire. And,
oh wow!
And it's still which is it's in its 3rd season. It just had its own mid-season break. It's on Fox.
Oh my God! I just realized what you didn't pick. You picked Empire over Westworld.
I did. You know why? Okay.
Because Empire had a plot and characters who made sense.
Okay. Well, the characters maybe not so much. But what Empire what Empire brings to the table is soap opera style drama at the breakneck speed of Vine. The first season has so many plot twists and turns. You will get whiplash as the characters change motivations and goals. And they've generally kept a good job of keeping the motivation. If you don't know the show, the idea is that it is about a family that runs Empire, a music label, and it's one of the big music labels around. You kind of have to have a little bit of cognitive dissonance in believing that this is like
the way the music industry works.
You're watching it for the drama and the music.
Right.
Yeah. This is not a realistic depiction of the music industry.
Well, and for a show that features a lot of diegetic and, genuine attempts at making good music, it pulls it off very well. The executive music producer of the show is Timbaland, who is a world-renowned music producer. I like the soundtracks are gigantic and they're fantastic. There are fantastic singers. You even have Terrence Howard singing on some of these songs. It's great and it's catchy. And me and my friends, like Snitch Bitch is definitely a meme between me and my friends, which is one of the songs from the 2nd season. It's great, and I think if you just need a lot of OMG moments, a lot of just like wow, it's Empire, and I think that's why I picked it over something like Westworld or some of the other shows that I watch week to week. Is that even in its 3rd season, Empire it's I think it's getting little off the rails in a bad way, but I think it's still on there, at least this season. Tom,
All right.
though, this is it.
I've like Brian. I have my final pick, and then I'm going to call it the Abandy Award for a show I abandoned. My pick is Arrival, the
Yes.
movie, which is a movie based on a short story about a woman who is infected by her ability to translate an alien language. And when I read the short story, I thought, this is an amazing story. You could never make a movie out of it. And they did. And I enjoyed the movie. And they changed some things to make the movie, which was fine. But I think they kept the underlying premise. And I 100% call it the best sci-fi movie that I saw this year. And that is my final pick for the good things.
What's your Abandy?
With your
You're like,
Abandy?
we don't care about that.
Well, Arrival is great. Arrival is unabashedly great, and I think we've all said so on
Yeah.
this show.
My Abandy Award goes to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, you finally let her go.
I was with it for
You
years,
held
and
on so long.
I still like all the
She
characters.
did you so wrong. We've been telling you to leave that girl forever. You finally
I still
did
like
it.
all the characters. I still like a lot of the stories. But here's what happened. It's the TiVo started recording it at the beginning of the season, and I said to myself, Tom, you don't have to watch that right now. You can watch it later. And I'm still saying that. It just isn't there.
Yeah.
It just isn't on the radar. And I use Sidereel to keep track of when new shows that I want to watch are coming out and where I am, especially with things like on Amazon. And I'm going to do this live right here on the show.
Oh, you're breaking.
Right there under Man in the High Castle and Once Upon a Time. I'm
I hardly knew you.
going to hit that delete button.
Oh, you're going to tap
By
that.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wow. I have an Abandy.
I'll put my phone.
Oh, you
face
do have an
down.
Abandy.
I
okay,
do have an
good.
Abandy.
Okay, good.
I thought about it.
Which, by the way, I realized we did 10 hugely positive things. All anyone's going to remember are the one Abandys that we've done. They'll not remember any of the Killies.
My Abandy is tough because I dove head first into this show for many seasons. I want to say, I think it was 5 seasons. I think what I gave up on was the middle of the 6th season. It's similar to Empire. It's very high stakes drama set in Washington, D.C., and it is ABC's Scandal. Carrie
Sorry,
Washington.
Shonda Rhimes.
Sorry, Shonda. Sorry, Carrie. Like, Scandal used to be so good. Scandal was about problem solvers. You went to Scandal was about multimillionaires who needed their kidnapped children, rescued. And then at some point, Scandal turned into a lot of shuffling chairs in a lot of like shuffling conflicts of, I don't like you now. Oh, but I don't like this new person, so we're going to be friends. We're having sex now. I don't like you because you're having sex with that person. Well, I'm going to have sex with this other person. And it's just regurgitating a lot of the same conflicts and a lot of the same characters. And at some point, I was like, we've lost the entire plot. We lost the entire plot. I think those first 4 or 5 seasons of Scandal are great. The first 2 seasons are fantastic in terms of setting up a gigantic presidential level scandal. And
Yeah.
it's that's excellent TV writing, and now it's not. And boy, howdy.
Breaking news.
Oh no.
Host of House of Cards podcast, Jackie Hearn, in chat just now. I might abandon House of Cards this year if it's not the last season.
I
agree.
I
I
agree.
100%
I'm
agree.
so sorry. I agree.
I agree.
I mean, there's just too much to watch.
What? No. Okay. That's a very nice way to put it.
No. But I say that because it's like, well, sure, if you're on the fence with a show, it's like, it used to be like, it's Thursday night. What else am I going to do? This is what's on TV. I'm not going to watch Falcon Crest. So here I go.
Well, and I think
You
Jackie
don't have to
Hearn,
do that anymore.
I think Jackie Hearn nailed it. She says the story has to stop, And instead of winding things down, like she says, it's done its job. And instead of tightening it up, instead, this whole last season, we saw nothing but like, get ready for 4 more seasons of wacky shenanigans.
4 more seasons.
I remember
4 more seasons.
I remember reading a rumor from someone who was on the production team for House of Cards, and their thing was like, there's going to be a 5th season, and then it's going to stop because there are some weird decks of cards out there that have whatever 5 times 13 is, cards in them. And they're weird, funky, but it'll still be cards, and it'll still be a thematic thing. Like, man, I'm just ready. We are all built. We're building up to one very specific
rules
ending.
card, or is that what that means?
I mean, he has to be assassinated at the end, right?
He has to be assassinated or caught or tried for treason. Like,
Yeah.
there are a lot of
He
endings.
already got shot. Like, they played the assassination card, so if they do assassinate
Or
him, I'm
suicide,
only like,
or something. He's gotta,
Yeah.
He's gotta see his world crumble around him, and then finally kill himself or whatever.
Yeah, or get impeached, I guess. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Did he win the election? I don't even remember how that last season. Oh boy.
Oh, he became
boy.
king and queen with his.
Oh right.
Yeah.
They doubled down. Oh boy.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us.
What a dour way to end. Maybe
First annual Killy Awards.
Hey,
By
good job.
We Despair. And huge thanks to everybody who supported the show all year long at patreon.com/cordkillers. We never can possibly thank you enough, but we'll keep trying for seeing something good in here that you're willing to throw a few shekels at, and helps us stay, as Brian often says, loud, live, and independent. And we are happy to be that way.
Yeah, thank you guys, man.
Thank you guys.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy 2016.
Bye.
Woo.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.